we talked more about like what you feel like you do like well. Is there anything else that you don't think you do very well, or like that you want to improve upon, or like have seen uh, or have wanted to try in the process to make your own work better or overcome
Yeah.
those doubts?
Um, like one thing that I feel like I'm constantly lacking sometimes, and this is more geared to the writing process. I feel like we keep talking about the writing process, but
Yeah,
that's what I'm currently in right now anyway. So it's
kind of easier to.
relevant. But I mean, specifically in the writing process, one thing that I feel like I lack is like follow through sometimes, because I will get excited by another idea that I have. Um, but I don't know, like I, f- I feel like if an idea is not holding your attention, then it's probably not worth making.
It's a good
Um,
point.
and like I feel like the older I get, I become like less precious about my my um my ideas.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where I would have an idea and I had it in my head and damn everyone else if they didn't see it, or I was going to make it work, and I knew there were so many problems with it, and like you sit down and try to figure it out. And I feel like now it's like if I can't get it to work, then I'll throw it in the bin or I'll put it away for something else, and maybe it'll work and have a different life, but it's not going to work here. So yeah,
Kind
I
of have to move
try to
on.
be less precious about my ideas, and I feel like that happens a lot too, even in like post production now too.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
times where I would be like, "How are you guys not seeing this? I think this works." And it's like I feel like if you're too precious about it, you can never see it through another like point of view. So like,
I mean, yeah, it's
yeah, go
like
ahead. Sorry.
killing your babies kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, for sure.
just yeah, be it's so tricky to kind of like yeah, like you said, figure out the balance of working with other people and collaborating too, but also sometimes you do have to stick to your guns and you have to trust yourself. But like what do you like how do you get to that point is so hard. So like I don't know if there's necessarily an answer to this question, but like
Right. I
it,
mean,
how much
I
is
think it's
instinct?
like I don't know. For me, is if I can let myself put it away,
Mhm.
um, not saying that it's not a good idea or I might use it later, but it's not the right idea right now.
Yeah,
So
you have to let it
trying to,
marinate.
exactly, yeah, let it simmer. Maybe it'll come back to you. So you're saying that you're most confident when you have it in the can. So like right when you
Well,
start production or start post production.
I mean, I don't know if that's why I said most confident. I mean, I feel more confident, I think, right at the end because I do like post production as another kind of like as a way of being like talking about like the puzzle metaphors. Like production, sometimes I'm like going through and I don't even know if all the pieces are there. And then in post production, I'm like, well, at least I know that they're all. This is all I got to work with, you know.
Yeah,
So I got to figure out how to cram them in together somehow, and that can be kind of fun. I think overall, probably I'm still most like you had kind of said, like once you get that draft that you're really happy with, or when you do like I'm really confident in like some of the storyboarding and shot listing stuff that I do as a visual director. But like I think yeah, you get that kind of peak. I feel like in the middle of post production is when I start to lose it again because like I said, when I once there's that realization or like oh we didn't get sound on this one shot so I can't use it all and then I just kind of like and then like if there's any like little mistake
and
you
isn't it
immediately start blaming yourself too and
right? Isn't
but
it
like
so weird though too? Because there's times where I know I've done it and I know you've done it in post where we'll say something was like, I didn't get this.
mhm,
Like we needed this. And it's like and I can't remember what specifically what you thought that you needed, and you're like, should I go back and
That's what I was,
and
that's
start production back up and do it? And like in my head, I'm like, Curtis, you don't need it, man. That's not making or breaking it. You're
I know
not gonna
exactly
miss
what you're
it.
talking about.
And like, I feel like I do it the same way, where I come back to a project like a month later, and I'm starting like trying to get it to like a picture walk, and I'm like, remember that thing I was so enamored by that the
Yeah,
whole movie's ruined because I don't have it? And it's like, well, why did I think that was making or breaking the whole thing?
exactly.
So it's got to be like something deeper behind that, like something
And
down in
yeah,
general creeping up in weird ways. Just
I immediately start going to that place where like, okay, like how much money is it going to cost to get back into this location? Now, get everyone together, get the gear. It's like really for like one shot or
yeah.
like that you had to miss. And then
And you
it's
know what's
one
funny
thing
is I
like,
started production back up to get shots I thought I missed and get like pickups. And then when I have the final cut, there's times where I don't even reuse it. I'm like, I spent all this money. Like,
I mean,
why?
that would be the worst. I mean, you just like literally just threw all your money away.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I mean, I think, yeah, I don't know how you like, yeah, it's that thing where like no one else knows that this shot is missing but you. That's the thing. That's the funny thing. Like
Right.
it works. It's just always a question of like, for me, I always again overanalyze it where it's like, is going back to try and do this thing exponentially going to increase the quality of the movie as a whole?
Right.
And it's very unlikely that it is. But that's always where you go to, right? And these weird stupid rationalizations
Yeah. Just like another way to like psych
to
yourself out.
torture yourself. I mean, you do a lot of research too, is another thing that you do. Does that make you like, again, as far as like the viability of the idea? Sometimes my problem is I don't dig in enough early on. I'll just let it fester in my brain. I mean, if
Mm.
it doesn't go away, then I'm like, okay, that might be a good idea, and then I get more confident about it because I just can't get rid of it. But in terms of research, does that help you?
Um, yeah, I mean, to the thing, it's or to a certain point, I guess. I mean, it's with anything. Like, you got to be careful with it because then that can consume you, and it's like, what am I doing? Like, I've lost the whole thread here. Like, what? Like, there was a movie that I was working on, um, that I got so obsessed with just the world and the setting that the characters kind of became secondary. And it was at that point, it's like I've lost it. Like I've researched this thing to death, and like I'm more interested in the subject matter than I am these characters. So I mean, I think it's each project's different. So like there's sometimes if I'm writing something that's something that I'm basically plucking out of my like life. Like obviously I don't do much research on, but yeah, for stuff that it's like, I mean, I love researching because you're not writing, and your idea can maintain the freshness, and like it still has all the potential
Yeah,
of
it's
like
like a
when you first. Yeah, it's like I don't want to let go of that thing. So research is only gonna, it gets in the way. Like that's
distraction to a
yeah,
point.
exactly. But
It's fun.
I mean, I know with research and like I guess like even talking about trying to discover the beats before you even dig into it goes back to trying to maintain that confidence.
You can't just be interested in film if you're a filmmaker. You have to like have these other things that like attract you, whether it's like, you know, I don't know, like some historical event or thing that happened, and be like, just get into that, by itself, aside from
Right.
like the idea of making a movie. I think one problem that I have, which causes, me questioning why I tackle certain projects, is if I'm like, I see a movie and I'm like, oh, I want to make something like that. That's awesome. I mean, it happens all the time. Every new movie I see that's like great, I'm like, I can like, well, not, I don't always say like, oh, I can make that, but I'd really like to make a movie like.
Right. Right.
But you do have to kind of get to the point too where you can't, make too much of that distinction where like a certain type of filmmaking or
Yeah.
is out of your reach, because I think that I mean, obviously there's money, resources, the business side of things, all this other crap that is keeping you from actually like making Transformers
Right.
17. But not to say that anyone wants to, but I think at the end of the day, as far as storytelling and stuff goes, I've gotten a little bit better at being confident that no matter the scale of the project, like you're still speaking the same language, whether it's, in regard to like nitty gritty writing stuff or, just, you know, elements of a scene and like people interacting, like a dialogue scene in an indie movie can be very similar to a dialogue scene in a big budget movie if it's well done, but like the blocking might just come down to two people interacting.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. That's so spot on because I feel like we've all been there where we'll watch a movie and we're like, oh man, I want to make that. Like I'm excited about doing this. And then they're like, okay, what's an idea that I could basically use
mhm.
and like try to make that exact same thing but different. But then you have to like step back and be like, okay, why are you so interested in doing it? Is it just you want to emulate that because it was
Yeah.
exciting to you, or you love the movie so much? It's got to be like I said, like you've got to have some sort of intent of why you're doing it, and it should probably be more than just because it's going to be fun. Do you feel like you have like a strong suit? Like
I'm more confident, I think, in the writing process in like rewrites like later on in the stage. I'm pretty confident in my ability to like go back and clean stuff up in the
mhm,
way that I need to.
that's interesting.
I mean,
So
are you
is
not?
that, I feel like I don't know. Like I feel like I hate the rewriting process just because it's like it feels like work that I need to get done.
Hmm.
And it's less like it's not as exciting to me. But I feel like that's why I take so long to finish something is because I really try to like, which can also be really detrimental. I really try to work it out before, like I want to, like there's times where I'll do a first draft and it's strictly a vomit draft where it's like I'm not looking at anything, like I'm just trying to get it out, like I'm not even looking at the beats, page count, or anything like that. And sometimes that's disastrous. Most of the time it's disastrous, but there's other times where um, I don't know, like so I think I try to do as much work up front so I don't have to go back and fix all this stuff and like lose the thread or something. I don't know if that makes
My
sense, but
Yeah, my problem is like, I mean, obviously the more, oh, not always, I guess. Like that's the thing. Like I was gonna say, the more prepared you are, the better. But sometimes you do just need that kind of natural like flow, especially in
right.
certain kind of like scenes or dialogue moments where it just comes naturally in your brain, and if you can just spit it out on the page. But I was gonna say, I don't know. Like I like after the fact, kind of finding those connections that I wasn't really conscious of when I wrote it, and being like, oh, if I just set up this, Chekhov's gun in the first act, then, this makes sense at the end. But like my problem is always as I'm going through when it's a linear order, when I'm writing the script in order, uh, is not going back and rewriting as I go too much, because then by the end of it, I'll read the whole thing again and be like, why is the first 2/3 of this movie like reading really well, and why is the third act crap? And it's like, oh, it's because I've been rewriting everything else, and everything else feels so polished. So like that can be annoying in the rewrite.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Cause it's always hard as far as like, cause that is the fun part though too, right? Cause like most of the time, like for me, it's like I always can point it out to about like the midpoint and then it gets kind of, I don't know where I'm going. But those are always the fun parts where it's like, oh, I can connect this to connect this. And I would have never thought of that unless I would have gotten to like this point. And now like I need to change something that I've thought I was gonna hit some beat I was gonna hit in midway through the second act. That's
definitely.
I've got some so much better now.
Similarly, in regard to, I guess, writing, but also like editing or things like that, do you set deadlines for yourself? And Is that something that helps you kind of stay on track?
as far as writing or anything.
Yeah, writing or I guess I mean it doesn't apply to production that much, I guess, but like
Um, yes, I try to. So the only thing that's kind of like a little bit of a nebulous for me is like trying to create like the beats. So like I don't want to rush. Like I want to get there's a part of me that I just want to put all the beats down on the page like in a couple days and then race off to Final Draft and start typing it. And I know from my experience that that's disastrous because I feel like I've forced the ideas and I didn't let things come to me like naturally. I'm so excited by something that I just want to barrel through it.
yeah.
So that's the only part that I don't like. I just try to have like, just be patient. Like you don't have to force it type thing. But like once I have it pretty nailed down, I've started this new thing since everyone's working from home these days. I will try to get up at 5, and then I will write until my son gets up, and then that's the end of the day. But if you do that every day, like you can. I mean, I
That,
finished like a vomit draft recently in basically 2 months, a little less than 2 months, which I mean isn't. I mean,
I think that's pretty good.
yeah, it's not. I mean, it's a vomit draft, but like, and
But also, wasn't it like a really long one? It's like isn't it like 150 pages or something?
Yeah,
So it's a lot of meat there.
yeah, for sure. And it's like that's
No wonder you're afraid
yeah,
to do it.
right. That's what I'm saying. It's like because if I don't do if if I don't do the work up front, it's like I get lost and I start to meander, and then I'm like I just get I psych myself out. I'm like I don't know where it's going anymore. So like then I have this big thing of like something that's like 3 different movies, and I like just start spidering like oh I take it this direction, but
just,
now I'm going this way. Now I'm going that way. Like I can't.
just make it a Netflix limited series. Problem
Yeah,
solved. Yeah.